Dit is een podcast van VPRO voor NPO Luister.
Dit is De Machine, een wekelijkse podcast van VPRO 3 voor 12 over de muziekindustrie. Atze de Vrieze en Malou Miedema praten hierbij over het belangrijkste nieuws achter de schermen.
Welkom bij De Machine. Het is hartje zomer en hoewel je mijn stem toch luid en duidelijk hoort, zit ik deze week niet met Malou in de studio in Hilversum, maar ergens in een berghut in Italië of zo. Vlak voor de vakantie host ik wel nog even 2 panels op Love Tomorrow, de conferentie van Tomorrowland. En daar bespraken we zeer machine-waardig spul. Zo schoven de vertegenwoordigers van Google Deepmind, Tomorrowland, Music en Bandcamp aan en de Belgische artiest Lost Frequencies om te praten over AI. En met de mensen achter Lab Tomorrow sprak ik over hoe zij technologische innovaties proberen te stimuleren. Het zijn 2 gesprekken in het Engels, maar ik heb jullie hoog zitten. Dat kunnen jullie voor een keertje best wel aan. Ik zou zeggen, veel plezier met een speciale zomeraflevering van De Machine.
Welcome back. This is a day about the future. It's about optimism. It's about making this world a better place. So where are we now? We are here talking about AI and music, and I realize that some of you may think that it's actually the devil for music, and some of you are here to embrace the possibilities of AI in the future. And we're going to talk about that with these four guests. I'm going to introduce you very quickly and just start right away, jump into the conversation. Michel van Buiten is from Tomorrowland Music, the label of the festival we are here at. Felix de Laat, also known as Lost Frequencies artist. Jeff Cheng from Google Deepmind. And Ali, I forgot your last name. Gilani from Bandcamp, the very important artist-first music platform. I'm going to start with you, Michel. One of the most important news stories of this year in the music industry was the fact that Deezer, the music platform, informed us that every day 30,000 new tracks were made available to them, fully made with AI. That was about 1/3 of the baffling 100,000 tracks each day that are new to their service. So as a label, which percentage of the music that ends up on your desk is made with AI?
Difficult to say how much, but it's the first question we ask for every demo we get, particularly with the vocal, is this AI? And that has changed since beginning of this year, where so many producers have seen the opportunity mainly to get top lines and vocals quite easily. So for us, whenever there's a vocal, the first question we ask, is this AI?
So the vocal is the main suspicion?
It's the most obvious one, usually. I think you can use AI in all aspects of your production, but on the vocal side, it's very much a visible thing and recognizable. And there have been some hits with clearly AI vocals.
So what you're saying is that a lot of the music, especially when there's vocals used, you always have to ask the question, is this made with AI?
Yes, and particularly also when a track went viral already, there's a fair chance there has been some AI used in it. So it is very much a thing that we ask ourselves for any demo we get.
Yeah, I'm going to change to you, Felix. You're an artist. I'm going to ask the same question to you. What percentage of the music you make is made with AI?
Not a lot. I work with a lot of artists and songwriters that send me also a lot of stuff, and that's also the moment I also try to be very aware of in which place this track was written, with who it was written, and who is on the track. Because I also got recently a bunch of demos where it was clearly, you can hear it sometimes, something feels off, and I'm like, where is this vocal come from? And then they didn't really tell me the truth. It was like, we made him ourselves, which was obviously not true. And then for me, it's like, okay, you're blocked off because I don't want to be involved in this not kind of thing. Because for me, it's fine that you do some demos, you have some hints, you have some things here and there which you get inspired from, and you can continue to build on that. But you need to have a clear, honest conversation about what you used, when you used it, and what's in the track. Because also, when I'm working with other artists and other producers, I want it to be clear if a guitar or if a piano or some part of drums are AI generated, because also after for the label, I get the question and I can be honest towards them that there is maybe some things that are being generated, preferably not, but I did use some parts here and there in the last productions that were generated with AI, yes.
Yeah, so honesty is important, right? That's what people ask in the industry. But let's go to Jeff Chang from Google Deepmind. You're also involved in Lyria, which is, if I understand it well, you can compare it to Suno and Udio. It's your music generating machine, right? If I say AI music, what do we actually mean by that?
That's a great question. I'm a producer myself as I make house music, and so it's just cool to be even having this conversation, and I'm glad that we can talk about it in the open. I think more of these conversations should happen. And your question is exactly what is like good to kind of dig into in detail. It's like, what do we mean when you say the words AI music, right? Because that is being treated kind of as a noun, but let's think about like as a verb, right? Google does offer a number of AI-enabled tools across images, video, music, audio, everything. You were making the comparison to, I think, Suno, you were saying. There are a few differences. I think one is we're really trying to build something that's very, very flexible and responsible. And by that, I mean, try to imagine this as like cooking tools. If you're going to be making a dish, you know, it's not just hit one button, easy bake oven, you have a song come out. All of the tools that are being built are trying to be as granular and flexible as possible. Maybe it's a fork, maybe it's a spoon, maybe it's different things that you can use to chop dishes up. Ultimately, it's also an oven where you can make the dish that represents the music you want to authentically make. And so Google isn't actually offering just one thing, it's a whole menu of things. I encourage everyone to kind of explore those. And it could be for brainstorming lyrics, it could be for making a demo, it could be for auditioning some vocals, it could be for taking a track and extending it, or zooming in and editing it, or just like mixing and mastering it, getting feedback on your track. So there's like many different dimensions and aspects. And so when we think of it, we don't think of it as AI music, we think of it as various tools to help you make music creatively.
Yeah, so mostly when people talk about AI music, it's about unmasking a track, right? This is a fake track or a fake artist. It doesn't exist, but the way you explain it, it's more part of a process of a real artist using...
And that word fake, you know, it's like, I think people resonate, audiences resonate with music that's like an authentic expression of what you're trying to create. I think humans kind of value things that you put time and effort and intention into to kind of craft. And I think that shows in the process and in the result. I want more audiences kind of and fans to kind of ask about the process that went into making music. So when the label asks you how you made the song, obviously you should be honest. And when a fan asks you how you made a particular song or how you came up with a certain idea, of course you should be honest. I think that will help you connect with your audience more. One more point before I forget, because you were comparing us to some of the other products. We've also built this very, very carefully and intentionally. Everything from double-checking the inputs and double-checking the outputs with YouTube's vast content system to make sure that no matter what, we are not accidentally replicating someone else's existing work. That's important too, because I think we want to respect the craft, we want to respect existing works. The whole point of these tools is to make new things, not to replicate old things, right? And so we've really built it end-to-end to be responsible and to like respect the existing industry and ecosystem. So we want this to be useful to musicians, right? We want them to actually use it and for the music they make to be loved by their audiences.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to you, Ali. Bandcamp had a statement in the start of this year, which is really interesting. They said, we're going to block AI from our platform. That was the first streaming platform to do that. What did you actually mean by that? Because the way Jeff is talking about it, that sounds virtually impossible to do.
Yeah, so I think first of all it's important to differentiate what Bandcamp is. So Bandcamp is a platform where any artist can upload their music, sell it to their audience. They can also sell physical products as well, vinyl, CDs, T-shirts, etc., etc.
It's really artist-focused.
Very artist-focused. We've got this artist-first policy, which is kind of why we exist in the first place. We only take 10 or 15% of every sale. The rest of that money goes to the artist, and we're very transparent. We have the same deal for absolutely everybody on the platform, from the biggest artists in the world to if you or I went backstage and made a track now and uploaded it, it's the same for everybody. So in that spirit of fairness and being artist-first, a lot of it is about recognizing and respecting artists and artistry. And for us, if you say you're artist first, then the kind of more egregious users of AI, and you know, I think the sort of subtlety that you spoke about there, Jeff, I think is an important one to come in. We're not banning music that has, you know, someone's used it for some mixing or for some stem separation or a little element. It's wholly or substantively. So it's things that, you know, someone's thrown in a prompt and just created something.
So how do you know?
And
how
I
do
think,
you detect that?
Yeah, there are. It's a mix of technological, and human-led judgments on that. So we don't block things that upload. We're monitoring it. We have teams within the company that are constantly monitoring up what's on the site, and also any fan or any artist that's on the site can report something if they think it's not right. We have a number of systems that we can run that through. Now, obviously, I can't go into exactly what those systems are because, in the first hand, you kind of have to keep a little bit of that private just so that people don't get around it. And also the nature of it is that this is technology that's moving so quickly. A system we have now will be irrelevant in 3 months' time.
I think there's two important points there. One is choice and transparency. One, I release on Bandcamp as well as SoundCloud and Spotify and YouTube, and I really like the fact that the ecosystem, each platform can kind of make their own choice about how they want to, ask the artists or ask them how it was made, or how you handle your algorithms, or how you present things, or how you let users discover things. And so that's cool, and that's working as intended because we want to put the tools in people's hands and then let the platforms each kind of decide how they want to distribute it or bring it to their audiences. I think the second point is on transparency, which is very important because you want to have information to help the platforms and the audiences make those choices. And so Google actually has this open standard called SynthID, which has been published, which applies to all of our model outputs. Think of it as like when it comes out of the oven, you put some saran wrap on it that clearly says, hey, it came out of this particular oven. Now, I'm not saying that represents a ton of information about all the work that did or didn't went into it and the emotion that went into it. I hope we can get there someday in terms of having more of that kind of provenance information. But for now, at least it's an open standard. And by the way, OpenAI and 11 Labs and other companies have signed on to this open standard. So you at least know that this particular file came from this particular model. And that's a big step in terms of just like having more transparency around it. Again, of course, people should be honest when their label asks them. But now there's some technological ways to say, oh, I see, this came from here, this came from here.
But honesty is also a difficult thing to do when using AI is spitting opinions about your music, for instance. I mean, if you have to be honest and you feel that some of your audience don't like the fact that you use any kind of AI tool, would you feel okay to be transparent when people can't even notice, trace what you're used?
Yeah, I think also as a producer, you lose a lot of credibility. In the electronic music producer scene, in my eyes, there is a lot of for me, you win a lot of credits when you're producing your tracks and you are performing your tracks and your tracks are being part of your whole project. And I think you either have to be really good at prompting or lucky to have AI generating stuff that can be coherent in the long run to create an artist profile that makes sense in the long run. So either you have a few hits that are doing good and then you need to construct on something that actually you cannot do because I think it's going to be quite difficult to have like a steady line that goes forward. And so as a producer, if I know that one guy like is touring the world and that it was just a prompted track, I will not have a lot of respect for the guy because I spent a lot of time in the studio creating my craft and also trying to be a bit unique at what I do, and then seeing someone being very successful. I'm not unhappy for him, it's just that I will not give him the credits of what he's trying to maybe show off sometimes. But on another way, I think, we went from very expensive studios to studios on a laptop that I'm part of the generation part of, where I wouldn't have been able to create music with the money I had because I wouldn't have been able to be in a studio. So now with the laptop I was able to make music, and then we went from that to like subscriptions with plugins to even cheaper stuff. And now we got in a place where you can have a subscription at an AI website and just generate music. So it became more accessible, but at what point do we need to make it even more accessible and even more easy? Because I think the fight before AI using in production was samples, Splice was a lot on the table, people use loops, people were having issues with people using loops, which, it's part of the game, but now people are creating their own loops with AI, which is an even other story, and at what point do we need to push technology even further to fix which problems? Because the problem from going to a big studio to a smaller studio is to create, now you have a lot of people that can create music, which I think is absolutely amazing. But then to go from there to deconstruct everything to even more simple is also really fun. But for me, the craft is also into the little things, and you lose a little bit all those little things. And so at what point why are we actually going there?
Yeah.
What's the end goal, you know?
The end goal should be a hit, maybe. I mean, a hit is a hit,
Well,
no matter how it's made. Is that the end goal for you, Michel?
I think from a Tomorrowland standpoint, also the label and what we release, the whole point is to work with artists and to help build careers. And I think AI and artistry can go hand in hand whenever there is intent, as you said, and what you also said. When it's just prompting and be lucky to have a hit, that's not the game that we're in. There are a lot of labels who are in that game to sort of chase the next thing that's going viral on TikTok. Often prompted, often no real big artist story behind it yet. That's not necessarily what we're looking into. We're more looking into, okay, if there's an artist who has a DJ career or aspiration as talent, has he or she used certain AI tools? Sure, that's possible. We will have the conversation. I have more an issue where, is Suno fully licensed? Will it be taken down at some point? I think most labels now want to avoid these issues until there's some clarity there. But I'm not saying that someone who uses it is taking shortcuts, as long as there's intent, as long as there's creative decision making, which is what makes a good producer different from someone who's been lucky prompting a song that was viral. And so I think there needs to be clarity. You can't fake the voice of a certain artist and then pretend that your song was featuring that artist and let people guess. All those things, I think we've gone through them already in a very fast pace. And I do feel, artists is what in the end sort of has fans, sell tickets, and create a whole ecosystem around them. And I think, again, AI will never replicate that, but will be a part of the process.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the being an artist, what a real artist is and what real music is. There's also this question lying underneath this all, and that's the protocols are trained on other people's music, right? How do you deal with licensing?
Just one point from the previous, just wanted to make sure, because you were saying why, and I think just to emphasize from the tool standpoint, our mission, our why, is to both lower the barrier to entry, as you mentioned, so it's more accessible to more people, but also raise the ceiling on what's possible creatively. And so the sample pack comparison is really apt because back in the day, I remember they would ask you, have you used sample packs to make this song? And maybe a lot of beginners got started that way, but by just kind of copy-pasting sample packs, you're not going to create a song that's like more unique and is outstanding and stands out from the rest. And as you perfect your craft, you start to have your own sample packs that you made over time, and the ways that you put things together becomes more precise. And so it's kind of similar to sample packs in that sense, where like at the top of the game, to be even more creative, it's not just going to be that, but I do think these tools can help people combine things or kind of brainstorm things or take things in new kind of sonic directions that were not possible before. And so that's where you actually get to be more creative. So it's a combination of both. Now, to your point about how these things were built, I want to emphasize that Google's taken an approach from the very beginning in partnership with the industry, which is why with all of our different partners, we have various agreements. Some of it's about including stuff, some of it's about excluding stuff. But we've done this very by the books to make sure that when someone uses our tools to make any sound or any song or any output, not only does it have the watermark I mentioned, but it is safe for you to use and it's yours to use. We don't own the outputs, and we're not trying to get a split or anything like that. So it's fully empowered for the user when it comes out. They can rest assured that, again, like I said earlier, it's not replicating other people's existing works, it's respecting the existing ecosystem, but it's also totally up to you how you want to use it. In fact, if you want to chop it up and change it and change the sounds to something completely different, or keep half of it, or keep parts of it, there's stems, it's totally up to you. And so in that regard, it's intentional that the power still resides in the creator's hands. Yeah.
Is someone being remunerated if it's used by someone, the tools?
So because it's completely yours to use, you can monetize it however you wish. So you made something, or you made a sound, you put it in your track, you then submit it to your label.
I think it's like, what was it trained on, right? Is that the music that was used for you to create the model?
Yeah.
Do the people who created that music get remunerated?
And what I'm saying is the way that we built it, and we have all these different policies in terms of service and various things in place, it's been designed intentionally so that by the time it comes out of the model, it is free for you to use, and you are free to use it however you wish. And so there's no kind of, basically it's built responsibly so that you can have that.
But my question is then, I presume the model has been created on existing works, right? Those have been fed in to create So that if I go in and say, make me a track that does this.
But it's been on existing works that we have the right to use, so that no matter, so that afterward it comes out, you don't actually have to worry about that. Yeah.
Do you expect revenue streams from AI models that train on your music?
We could talk about that. That's actually partially why I'm here, because in some...
I mean, you're a popular artist.
But yeah,
people want to make music like yours.
The models you guys are working with
has not been trained on your music.
Obviously trained on the existing music, and I think the music catalog in the world is so massive.
It hasn't been trained on your music, so it hasn't. Yeah.
No, but other models maybe are.
Okay, other models, other people's models. Okay.
I'm just talking about the AI generative music has been trained on catalogs. They said it recently that there is multiple labels. Their catalog has been downloaded multiple times, dozens of times to train models of AI. So maybe yours not, but others probably have been trained with music that's not mine. I'm not talking about my music. I'm just talking about other people's music. Otherwise, how would it work? But yeah, how do you split that? I do not know.
It's complicated because I mean I have a label, a small record label that I run as well, and our distributor got in touch saying there's a licensing deal here. You can opt in to have your music, like to get money as part of the settlement for training that has been done to create this model.
Just one-time money, or is it?
Well, it's one-time money, and we don't know how much it would be. And then afterwards there might be usage money as well. And it's this thing of like, for our artists, the questions they've got to ask is, well, they've done it anyway. Do I want to get paid for it? But then if I allow them to do it, am I opening the door for everyone else to do that? Am I then being complicit in a system that could replace some of my income? And that's a really, really tricky decision for artists to make, I think.
I think this is a super important topic. I think we want to respect artist choice. I think we also, my dream for like an entire kind of third-party ecosystem, so not, specific to my company, but just overall, is like, I hope one day, because we were talking about not replicating existing works, but there is a lot of opportunity in remixing existing works and doing so in a way that's really creative and makes people enjoy the music, including the original music and the original creators. I hope one day, I mentioned the Synth ID open standard that we've published. There is something called C2PA, which is like a larger third-party kind of standard that's being developed. I hope one day that Synth ID or C2PA, this third-party ecosystem, and we can't do it alone, we have to have the cooperation, can represent not only, hey, this file came from this model, this one came from this model, because again, different models are designed in different ways, but what was the human work and creative process that went into that up to that point in time, including all the things that we're talking about here. So if you literally make a remix of someone's song and that was made from a remix of two other people's songs, maybe there's a way to represent that so that ultimately when you grow this pie, the revenue is flowing out and everybody benefits, right? And so that's kind of my dream for the future. We're currently doing our part with some of the MAR marking. I hope to work with more of the ecosystem to kind of have more of that metadata over time, yeah.
Final question, Ali. We're talking about this now and we find it very important. There's lots of worries about it. Do you expect in 5 years' time we no longer talk about it at all and it's just there?
I don't think so. I think there's always going to be a conversation about it. I mean, I think I can definitely see a future where there are hits that come out that are wholly AI created. But I do still think and I believe that music fans, real music fans like the people that are here, are interested in artists, they're interested in their personalities, they're interested in everything that goes around it. The words that are coming up so much at the moment in our world are authenticity and community. And that isn't going to be replicated by anything else. The people here today are part of a community that have come to this event, to this weekend, and that's replicated all around the world in micro scenes and all the rest of it. So I think whilst there is a human desire to tell stories and to engage with your community, I think that's always going to be a thing, and there's always going to be this thing and then maybe that other thing over there. And where the lines blur in between is what we as people in the industry have to figure out.
I hope we talk about music and the creative process and the people behind it even more than we do now. I hope when you hear a song in the elevator or at the gym or on a big stage like Tomorrowland, people talk about who produced it, who's the artist, who put the work into it, what tools did they use, what plugins did they use, who mixed it, who mastered it, who published it, who distributed it, who helped set up the stage and the speakers and the sound system to enjoy it and to have the community around it. I think all of those puzzle pieces are very important. I hope we talk about that more. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We could talk about this for hours, but
Yes.
time is short. Thank you so much, Michiel van Buiten, Jeff Chang, Lost Frequencies, Felix de Laat, and Ali. I forgot your last name again.
Okay, don't worry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Innovation is everywhere here at Tomorrowland. It's on the stages, it's on the field, it's on the festival production, it's on the production of artists themselves, it's in the music, of course. We're going to talk about innovation here with Joris Limpes. He's head of Lab of Tomorrow.
Exactly.
You may not know what that is, but you will know. Joris Limpes, welcome. Evelien Robrecht is here. She's from Timeline. You may not know what that is as well, but she'll tell you all about it. And you may know him, Netsky. He's a drum and bass artist from Belgium, but he's also part of Timeline. So we're going to talk about that. Welcome. Please, Joris, can you explain the innovation is very important to Tomorrowland. What is the Lab of Tomorrow?
Yeah, Lab of Tomorrow is an initiative of Tomorrowland. We're an innovation hub right across the street here in Boom. And we are a hub that hosts companies that are active in our little sector. We call it the entertainment tech sector.
It's kind of an investment hub or a creative hub.
It's a bit of everything. We have startups, scale-ups, mature companies, local companies, international companies. All companies that are active within entertainment and doing something innovative, doing something with technology. And we try to help them by facilitating their creation process. We have workspaces, we have studios, we have everything they need to create and also collaborate.
When we just walk outside of this tent and you walk me across the field, can you point me at stuff that you actually invented under Lab of Tomorrow?
Yeah, the nice thing is about Lab of Tomorrow that we really try to foster innovation and collaboration. I think if you walk around here at the Tomorrowland domain, then walking around and seeing the lanterns, the street lanterns, is something that has been invented by Cluster together with Superlips, two members of Lab of Tomorrow. And then if you go to many stages, especially this one also, there is also a reel system there. It's
a reel system?
A reel. A reel is a company also at Lab of Tomorrow, and they do immersive audio. So they have an upmix engine, some software that transforms stereo inputs into immersive audio. Really nice if you're here during the festival, then you really have this amazing immersive feeling. And then when you go to the Freedom stage, that's the biggest thing we're very proud of is the floating sky, the more than 200 LED panels on the roof and also on the sides of the stage. And it's a collaboration of 5 members of Lab of Tomorrow that work together there.
So why do you want to develop this yourself? Because there's lots of companies who create this already. What makes you want to be ahead of the curve yourself and take this into your own hands?
I think Tomorrowland is the best example of it. By always creating new experiences with new innovation, the visitor also gets a new way of living entertainment and being part of it. So by being in the front seat of that and by stimulating it, we can also steer it a bit.
Boris, Netsky.
Yes.
That sounds pretty techy already. When did you start a company for yourself? Was it always something you wanted to do?
Well, our company kind of stems out of a problem that I had as an artist myself, something I wanted to solve for me and my team. And it started as something we literally just built to like enhance storing for me. And then eventually we co-founded the company together, Evan and I. So this happened just over a year ago.
Yep, last summer. Yeah.
Last summer.
So what was the problem you wanted to solve?
Well, it's the problem that Boris was experiencing firsthand during his sets. How you communicate with the people behind the scenes to have the lighting, the visuals, and effects synchronized to a set. Boris is a DJ. He mixes live. He doesn't always know what he's going to do at what time in the set. And it's very hard for the people behind the scenes to kind of follow along and make sure that the right effect is triggered at the right time. So I think Boris started thinking about how do I solve that problem with technology? So it started with a collaboration platform where Boris can upload his set, the people behind the scenes can access it, can prepare it. But then we started thinking about, obviously, everything that's happening with AI in the past years. How could AI help this problem? How could we automate certain things? And we started developing a machine learning model that listens to the music in real time and detects musical structure, musical energy, and kind of predicts what's coming up, and then shares that information with the people behind the scenes, but even can automatically trigger lighting and visuals and effects. So to really kind of create a very responsive show that listens to what the DJ's doing and is always in sync.
So is that something you program in advance for every track that you possibly are going to play?
Yeah, so I guess on the DJ side, a lot of people have the misconception that a lot of the DJ sets here at Tomorrowland are completely pre-programmed or completely pre-made. That's 99% of the case, not the truth. Like
That's actually, the lighting has a big part in that. I mean, when you see the lighting totally in sync with the sound, you think, okay, this must be pre-programmed.
Yeah, no, it really depends. Like some DJs and some artists and rock bands, they deliver parts of their set or part of their songs so they can time code it. It's a term we use, where we try and like make the light show or the especially here, the fireworks show, the special effects show, we try to time it perfectly to the millisecond, to the frame right on the music. It's weeks of work. It's a lot of money. It's a big team. It's weeks of work. And what we try to do, and when we say training a machine learning model, it's actually a lot of painstakingly, going through tracks, trying to understand what you feel as a human when you listen to music, and trying to understand how would you visualize this. A team at Tomorrowland does it so extremely well. Like the last couple of shows at the main stage, you look at the artists, and everything that gets added, from colors to the fireworks to the lasers to the lights, it enhances that DJ set and that audio so much. And that's exactly what we try to do with our model, trying to find what happens in that music, how can we kind of translate that into human language into a show eventually.
So what happens with Timeline? You perform as a DJ, you choose the next track, and immediately it connects it to lighting. Can a lighting guy adjust it in real time as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. The way it works, the technology is really there to help the people behind the scenes to create a beautiful show. So there's different flavors of how you can use it, but it's exactly like you said. So we connect to the DJ gear, we listen to the music as soon as the track is loaded, we listen to it, we analyze it. That happens super fast. So as soon as a track is loaded, a new track is loaded, we immediately pass on that information to the people behind the scenes, or we just pass it on to the show systems to react automatically to what's happening in the music. So that's basically how it works.
That's basically how it works. So she just said machine learning, AI, of course, that's the magic word. How many of the companies that you invest in, that you work with, are working with mainly AI at the moment?
I think all of them.
All of them.
Some maybe a little, but some a lot. I think Timeline is the perfect example how to embrace AI rather than to fight against it. But I think all of our members are using it little by little to improve their product, their services, whatever they do, and also to work together and create something new.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been talking about AI and music, and there's the ethical question and the authenticity question. What is a real artist? What is real music? That doesn't seem to be such a topic in creating the show around the music, right?
I don't think so. It's something that can only create a better experience, and for us, we're always looking for the next new experience within entertainment. Then if AI helps, why not use it?
Yeah. You're not just creating this for yourself, right? It's a company. How does that work? How do you roll it out into the world?
No, absolutely. Like on the one end, we create this for artists and their teams and everyone that builds a show. But actually, most of all, I don't know if everyone can see, but in the back over here, this is what we call the front of house. And that's where all the technicians work on the show. Like literally tomorrow, there's going to be 8,000 people in this room, and those are the people in the back that do all the lights. I can't see who's working there, otherwise I would name them by name. But these are the people that do all the lights and synchronize, that listen to the music, and that try to give everyone that really enhanced show. So to answer your question, we make this application to help people, or try and help people in front of house a lot, but also artists and their team and how they communicate with them.
And I would say that they're artists as well. So now having the opportunity to go behind the scenes with timeline and observing what they're doing, it's a very intense job. Like they're also dancing and listening and like living in the moment and making the show look amazing. And it's a very intensive, labor-intensive, very manual job, and not a lot of technology exists today to help them do that job really well. So that's what we're trying to do.
It's interesting that you say that, because coming back to what I just said about music and the question of authenticity when it comes down to AI, I mean, I feel there's a lot of light artists who feel they are part of the artistry of someone like you. I mean, the person doing all that is part of your act. It's part of your the way people think about you as an artist. Wouldn't you say that those people deserve more credit for that as well?
I think so. I mean, I really enjoy seeing them working. It's a very, I think they spend a lot of their time doing very more repetitive tasks, and if we could free up that time to make more creative decisions, the shows would be even more immersive, even more beautiful. I do think it's a complex job, and they are there from. Like a festival like Tomorrowland starts at noon and it goes until like after midnight. They have to be there paying attention every single second and pressing the buttons and keeping things in sync. And it's artistry. It's not easy to do that. And we hope that if we give them just some tools to make their job a little easier, that they'll be able to do more creative things where maybe now they need to spend that time on just executing.
Now they can take a bathroom break using timeline and then continue the work afterwards.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you've been around for quite some years now, right? The front of house and the people working with you, how has that changed over the years? Are this the same people doing different jobs, or has it completely changed what you see in there?
I feel like the technology being used to and I got to watch my words here, but I feel like it's been used for a while. The protocols that we use, there's a protocol called MIDI, for example, that's been around since the 90s, or OSC, that's a little bit newer, but it doesn't seem to be the quickest rise of new technology and protocols. There's probably a good reason for that, but there's definitely room for innovation, I feel.
So where do you want to take it? I mean, you just started, when was it, a year ago?
A year and a half, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You've been working on it quite a while. But
which dream have you not been able to realize yet?
With the company, yeah. I mean, the biggest step for me was to have a company with people that we love working with. That was already like a milestone that I personally love. Yeah. You know, we're doing almost all of the big stages at Tomorrowland this weekend and last weekend, which is, when you really think about it, quite crazy as your first kind of big client or first big case. So we're extremely happy about that. I personally would love to see this in different genres maybe, and like maybe even in theater or live music. So that's definitely the next steps we want to build up to.
It's interesting because I mean, I guess you could say electronic music is easier to translate into technology for a light technician, right? Than rock music. Yeah. Is it a challenge to do that with other types of music, with other genres?
It's definitely, it's work. So we have to get to it. We're a small startup. I think we started with DJ sets because that typically is where a lot of things are happening live in the moment. The DJ's mixing, changing things up, and where the challenge is maybe the biggest. So we figured if we can solve the challenge for DJ sets, we can start thinking of applying it to other genres. But yes, we'll have to consider on how those other genres are preparing shows. Even like the ML model will need to be tailored to different genres of music, thinking about workflows. But there's a lot of similarities. I think there's a lot of overlap between what we're doing now in EDM and what we can do with other live music, with theater, we have lots of ambitions. We would even like to bring this to the living room. What if you throw your own party in your living room and your lights in the living room, whether it's like a Philips Hue light, can react to the music? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Or restaurants or gyms or... So our ambition is definitely to bring it to different applications. I think the core of what we're trying to do...
A house party, that's
That's
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Yes, it would be, But then there's so many DJs that are streaming on TikTok. What if we can give them technology that they can have an awesome light show, maybe attract more viewers, have a bigger chance of breaking through? So we'd love to make this accessible to a lot of people.
So accessibility is more important than being the highest technology, the highest profile technology?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I mean, it's also really nice, like, I grew up as a kid going to the Kalendstraat in Antwerp, where there's a tiny little electronics store, and they had the sound to light, kind of red, green, the traffic lights that react to bass, mids, and highs. And
it's the basics of it all, right?
Extremely basic, but the basics of it all, absolutely. I'd love to be able to bring something like that, but on a scale where it's learned on the absolute best, like, you know, a light show at Tomorrowland, where we take that and embrace what we can build here and take it into a consumer's hand at some point.
Who's the most inspiring artist to you in terms of what he or she does with lighting and performance on stage, whether it's a DJ or other genre?
I've got a couple, yeah, please, yeah.
I was going to say to people in front of house, because, for example, we're giving a demo tonight, and we've been working with them on putting that demo together, and it's just wonderful to see what ideas they come up with and just see it applied. But that's not probably what you wanted me to answer.
You like Justice, a show a lot?
I do, yes.
I like...
can you explain for the people who haven't seen the Justice show what they do and what they
Justice is like,
excel in?
If we could build a show like Justice, I think we've made it. We might not ever be able to do that.
Moving light panels who move all the way up and down.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. Yeah.
It might not be our ambition to build those shows anyway. Like it'd be great to help those teams, and like when you look at 9 Inch Nails, for example, I love that show as well. But the teams behind there are incredible and super creative. And if we can, you know, help in any way, that's really nice.
Yeah. Joris, what is your ambition with the company? Where do you want to take it? I mean, there's all small ideas that turn into big ideas underneath you. But where do you want to take the company?
I think we started now here with our first hub at Lab of Tomorrow. I think that can grow, and then we should think of, okay, how can we grow bigger? Is it becoming bigger locally or more internationally? Making also connections between the different other entertainment tech areas in Europe. There are many. Try to make the connect and see how we can get those companies, our members, and those members working together. I think that would be a great next step. But we're so happy that the Lab of Tomorrow buzz is really going on, and we see a lot of companies interested in joining us, trying to discover what our key ecosystem can offer for them. So, yeah.
Is it important to be a European company in that as well? I mean, we're talking a lot about American tech companies leading and also having the power over us as European companies. Is it important to be and stay European?
I think, like being in the business, I discovered that when you're at a festival or talking to people in our industry, most of the time, like somewhere on top, there's like a Belgian or a Dutch guy leading the thing. We have some great examples also within Lab of Tomorrow, like Prismax, for instance. And we have so many knowledge, so many technology in Belgium, Netherlands, and around it. But we Belgians were not always speaking as much about it. So with Lab of Tomorrow, we really want to give them their platform and to help them grow and to show to the world what we can do and be proud of it.
It's true, you don't speak about it, but I mean, in every front of house is a Dutch or a Belgian person leading those big shows. Thank you for being here. We're going to look at all those lights with a different view this weekend. Thank you, Joris Limpes, Evelyn Robrecht, and Boris Danen. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
3FM
Podcast.
De meest juicy verhalen achter de schermen van de muziekindustrie hoor je in de podcast Blauwe M&M's. Over ongemakkelijke ontmoetingen met Madonna.
What's the worst thing about being famous then?
That you have to answer stupid questions.
Opblaasbare reuzendecors.
Ja, toen kwam hij met dat bieridee. Toen dacht ik, ja, het is een briljant idee.
En het zwarte gat van de nacht.
Alleen maar dansen, dansen.
Als dat lukt van voor tot achter, zeg maar, dat is het mooiste wat er is.
Luister de podcast Blauwe M&M's nu via NPO Luister en 3fm.nl/podcast.